My sister stood at the altar in her wedding dress and I wasn't there. I was 3 states away, sitting in a hospital parking lot, crying in a rental car, next to the father who walked out on us when we were kids. And yeah, I know how that sounds. So let me back up a little. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that there are two of us, me and my sister Danny. Our dad, Roy, left when I was 9 and Danny was 6. No dramatic fight, no custody battle. He just stopped showing up. New city, new family, essentially a new life. We got a card sometimes. Birthday money that arrived 3 weeks late. By the time I was in high school, even that stopped. Danny handled it the way she handles everything. She just sealed it off, filed it under irrelevant, and moved on. I didn't, I don't know why. Maybe because I was older and I actually remembered him. Maybe because I kept thinking there had to be some reason a person does that, and I needed to understand it before I could let it go. So when Roy reached out 2 years ago, out of nowhere, an email, I responded. Danny didn't. She made it very clear she had zero interest, and I respected that. But she also knew I was in contact with him. That part wasn't a secret. Fast forward to this past spring. Danny's wedding to Marcus, who is genuinely a wonderful person and makes her happier than I've ever seen her. She asked me to be her maid of honor. I said yes immediately, obviously. I bought the dress, helped plan the bachelorette, addressed the invitations by hand because she wanted that personal touch. I was all in. And then, 10 days before the wedding, Roy called me. He'd had a stroke, not a minor one. He was in a hospital in another state, he had no one with him, and his prognosis was not good. He didn't know if he was going to make it through the week. I called Danny that same night. I told her everything, the stroke, the prognosis, how scared he sounded on the phone, and I want to be honest about what I was hoping she would say. I was hoping she'd tell me to go, that she'd give me some kind of permission. She did not. She was quiet for a long moment, and then she said, "He's a stranger who chose to be a stranger. I need my sister at my wedding." And I said, I know that, but what if he dies while I'm there watching the first dance?" She said, "Then you grieve him after, like you've basically been grieving him for 20 years anyway." That hit me. I won't pretend it didn't, because she wasn't wrong, she wasn't. But I also couldn't stop thinking, if he dies and I'm not there, and I never got to say any of the things I've been carrying around since I was 9 years old, that's a door that closes forever. Danny's marriage was the beginning of something. Roy dying alone might be the end of the only shot I ever had at any kind of answer. I told her I needed a couple of days to think. She said, "There's nothing to think about." Her voice was flat in a way that scared me. I booked the flight to Roy 2 days later. I called Danny to tell her. She hung up. She didn't pick up when I called back. My mom texted me 4 words: "You are unbelievable." Our aunt, who I've been close to my whole life, sent a longer message. She said she understood why I felt pulled, but that Danny had spent months counting on me, that being maid of honor wasn't just a title, and that choosing Roy now after everything is going to be something Danny remembers for the rest of her life. Which I know. I knew it when I clicked confirm on the ticket. I knew it the whole flight. I sat with Roy for 3 days. He didn't die, he stabilized, which I was not expecting, and I'm still not sure how I feel about that. We talked. A lot. He said things I'd needed to hear for 20 years, and some of them actually helped, and some of them were too small for how big the wound was. It was real, though. It was the most real conversation I've ever had with him. I missed the wedding. Danny walked down the aisle with our uncle. Her best friend from college stepped in as maid of honor. From what I heard, it was beautiful. She didn't respond to my texts for 3 weeks. When she finally did, it was one sentence: "I'm not ready to talk about this." I've heard from people in my family, second and third hand, that she cried the morning of the wedding. Not happy tears. That she told Marcus she felt abandoned by the one person who was supposed to be standing next to her. That she keeps saying she gets why I went, she just doesn't know if she can forgive it. And here's the thing I keep turning over: I made that choice for me. Yes, Roy needed someone there. Yes, that conversation mattered. But Danny needed me too. She needed her sister. And I chose the man who opted out of being our father over the sister who showed up for me every single time. She's not wrong to be furious. She's just also not right that it was a simple choice. A few weeks after the wedding, Roy sent me a letter, handwritten, which surprised me. He said he knew what I'd given up and that he didn't know if he deserved it. That was the first honest thing he'd said in 20 years, and I read it about 6 times. I still don't know what to do with it. So here I am. Roy's alive and Danny isn't speaking to me, and I'm holding this letter, and I can't figure out if I did something brave or something selfish that I've dressed up as brave. Maybe both, Probably both. So, am I the problem here? Because I genuinely cannot tell anymore. Honestly, though, what would you have done? Comment below.